When I was growing up, what do I want to say? What do I want to say? So this is what I want to say. Okay. When I was growing up, I have always aspired to be somebody who could make a difference. I have always wanted to be that person to be able to help somebody in their life, or not even be that person. I just wanted to make sure that everyone, whether that be my friend, whether that be a little girl on the side of the street, whether that be anybody, I just always wanted to help people. I would literally do anything and everything for anybody. I always wanted to aspire to be that person who could always be there for somebody, because I know that growing up, I've always wanted somebody to be there for me. So with that, I was very cautious with who I welcomed into my circle. And even though I did not welcome a lot of people into my circle, I fell into the wrong crowds. I've welcomed the wrong people into my circle, and I have also experienced a lot of betrayal. That little girl that wanted to avoid all the problems ended up falling right into that. I've always looked up to my mother because she was so hardworking. I always looked up to my grandfather, my grandmother, because they were just such hardworking, caring people. The theme of the Romulus family is hard work. We've never sit there and said, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z because it's unattainable. Everything within our path was attainable. And so as I looked to my grandfather, who worked multiple jobs and always provided for his family, I was like, I need that person in my life. I want to marry somebody who is going to be just as hardworking and take care of me, even though I know that I can take care of myself. Throughout my journey, I've experienced a lot, and I've come to the conclusion that life is one hell of an experience. And in order to share that experience with others, we have to tell our story. I titled this podcast Etching Scripts 101 because the most dangerous thing, the most agonizing pain to contain is an untold story. And I got that quote from Maya Angelou. So I'm coming here today. My name is Whitney. I am 24 years old. And even though I may appear young, I have a hell of a lot of experience under my belt. A couple of credentials that I want to give forward to you guys is that, okay, I don't want to be like, okay, you must listen to this podcast because I got X, Y, and Z, and I got all the experience. I don't want to go that far to say anything like that, right? I want to come on here and talk about my experience, and maybe share with somebody else who is out there. Maybe you have the same experience as me. Now, a little bit about my background. I am, for people who aren't looking at me, I am Black, proud. And also you could find this podcast on YouTube, where I go under the name Whitney's Script. You have to put the apostrophe S after Whitney because the YouTube algorithm is low-key ridiculous, but there it is. But okay, so back to the background story about me. So I have a bachelor's in English and I have a master's in communication. And even though with all the ways that, it's telling me how to communicate with people or how to write correctly, I always fall into some sort of situation where something wasn't communicated properly. So this podcast is going to host a whole bunch of topics about being an adolescent, moving from a whole bunch of culture to no culture, pretty much everything that I've experienced. Toxic relationships, toxic friendships, fights. Oh, I don't even want to go down that route, but almost getting into a fight, bullying. Oh, being that weird kid, the one with the big ass forehead. Also, I should give a disclaimer that this podcast will include a good bit of profanity. Let me just call it what it is, a good bit of profanity. We're also, to jump off of that, we're also going to talk about, religion and Christianity, or just basically the whole umbrella of religion itself. So a lot of things that I say on my YouTube channel is, I come on this platform to help everyone and anyone, even if it is just one person. But I want to tell you guys today that every single day we are etching scripts. There is no detailed script to go through life. So every single day that we experience something, well, there's a story to share to somebody else. So that is why I am on this platform. Hopefully you are interested to continue forward. This is just an intro. How do we do an intro? I don't really know. I could have picked a topic to talk about, but I'm just here to tell you guys, this is me. This is who I am. I'm going to tell you about my Black experience. I'm going to tell you in America. I'm going to tell you about my Black experience in New York, my Black experience in Alabama. I'm going to be talking about, everything. Outside of race, inside race, upside down, everything that you can think of, I will be talking about. I also have on my YouTube channel a segment that's called a writer's scope, where you would send to my email whatever advice you need, whatever advice that you're going through, etc., right? However, through this platform, we're going to call it the same thing, a writer scope. You can send to my email, whatever advice you're going through, and I will answer it, whether that be via the podcast or whether that be via my YouTube channel. The thing is that this is one and the same, and I want it to be more accessible to others, right? So it still holds the same email. It is going to be writersoneworld@gmail.com. So that's WRITERS, the numerical 1, and then world, WORLD, @gmail.com. Now, saying that out loud was kind of funny because I'm like, ooh, I'm spelling it, but this is kind of weird. So if I spelled it incorrectly, no, I'm just kidding. I know I spelled it right, but like, basically you get my whole vibe that I'm talking about over here. Overall, what I'm trying to say is I hope to interest you in the various topics that we are going to discuss on this podcast. It's going to be a lot of social topics. It's going to be a lot of topics, dealing with things in the past. This is going to be something that I wanted to reach every single audience that's out there. I want to be able to connect to various men that are out there who are young, who are older, etc. I know that I'm probably going to have more of a female audience, but that's okay. I'm not saying, oh, we can't have women on here. Like, no, I want to be able to reach everybody. Another thing that I want to mention is, I don't know, let me give you a few things that I love to do. Let me tell you what I've been doing recently. So recently I've been studying for the LSAT, and so there's also going to be a lot of law topics on here and my journey with building a career. So let's just break it down and say that the entire podcast is going to be focused on becoming a successful, I don't want to say a successful person because that sounds disgusting, but overall what I'm trying to achieve with this podcast is, there's no right way to be 100% perfect, right? It's not even possible. Every single day we are striving to be the better person than what we were yesterday. And we can't fault each other for not knowing what to do. We can't fault each other for making mistakes, because what are we? We're humans. We're going to make mistakes. So this is not necessarily, I guess you can call it kind of like a motivational podcast. But the thing is that I'm going to tell you what I did, and hopefully you can avoid making the same mistakes that I made in my past. And, I'm only 24, so clearly I'm going to make a hell of a lot more mistakes in the future. So with that being said, I hope you guys choose to subscribe to this podcast. Also check out my YouTube channel. Don't forget, it is WHITNEY'S Script. On there you will find a playlist called Etching Scripts 101, because this podcast is also a video. So you'll be able to put the face to the voice. So if you want to watch a podcast, or this podcast specifically, through YouTube, you are able to do so, and you are able to subscribe, and you are able to like it, so I can know that you guys are kind of interested in these sort of topics. Another thing that I want to mention, and then we can go ahead and get out of here, is that my Instagram, no, I'm just kidding. Well, no, I'm not. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about. My Instagram is WHITNEY'S Script as well, so you'll be able to find me anywhere. I want this to be as informative as possible, and I also want you guys to engage with me as much as possible. So thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope I've taught you something today or have made some sort of impact on your life. Thanks.